Well, definitely not the prettiest campsite. Pretty cool sunrise over here in the background. What's happening, and good morning. It's day number 5, waking up in the high 20s. I think it was 28. I think that's actually going to be the warmest. I think it's all downhill from here. You know, I can't always just call up the weather, unfortunately. It is what it is. I got to deal with the situation that I've been handed. Now, one of the situations I've been handed, though, is the opportunity to see a beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, sunrise up over, get this, salt plains. Yeah, in the middle of Oklahoma. You remember yesterday we were at sand dunes? Now we're at salt plain. Look at it. Now, unfortunately, these salt plains are closed. I'm not sure if they're seasonal. I would guess that they're like other salt plains. Certain times of the year, you drive on them, you'll get extremely stuck. They look wet, they look muddy, they look murky. I wouldn't try driving on them if they were open. This is the Great Salt Plains National Wildlife Preserve, I believe is what it's called. Something like that. You can look it up. It's a really cool spot. And I'm overwhelmed at the fact that I've seen plains, salt plains, sand dunes, and mountains all in Oklahoma. I never would have imagined in a million years that all this stuff existed in Oklahoma. So, man, that's really cool. Really neat. Well, I've got to go find the bathroom because the salt plains is closed. It's first thing in the morning, and we're gonna connect with the trail here in just a minute and keep it moving. But yeah, salt plains. Man, you guys are lucky. God, you guys are lucky that I don't hunt. Look at all them turkey right there. Great day, boy. You can get going pretty quick down these roads, but you still gotta watch for the wildlife. Deer, primarily. Just south of the ghost town of Jefferson, Oklahoma, along the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, is a site known as the Old Sewell Stockade that was built in the 1860s. It was later known as the Pond Creek Ranch House and served as a haven for cattle drivers and other travelers of the Chisholm Trail. The Chisholm Trail was used to drive cattle from ranches in Texas to the railheads in Kansas during the 1850s and 60s. The Oklahoma Adventure Trail has changed quite a bit over the years, and this leads to a few dead ends. This particular morning, it seemed like the first few hours was filled with them. Thankfully, I had all of the area around the trail downloaded to Gaia, and I was easily able to navigate around these dead ends. Another dead end, off into the middle of the woods. Wow. Thing about drones is whenever you put them over where there's water rushing down, the water rushing down actually causes them to move and float up, as you can see right here. Also, whenever you're running a drone and trying to drive at the same time, sometimes it doesn't always work out. Once I hit the water in the water crossing, the controller slid up against the windshield because it was sitting on my dash. It slid up against the windshield and made it turn. So that's the second time that the water crossing shot has been messed up with the drone. But sorry, man, I'm doing the best I can. Without a cameraman, sometimes this can be a bit tough. I decided to stop for lunch at this truck stop diner I found called the Sooner's Corner. I don't bring this place up because of the awesome chicken fried steak, but rather its name and the significance of it. You see, back in 1893, there was a run onto, quote, unassigned land. Some of us refer to this as stolen land, but that's a different discussion for a different time. This land was known as the Cherokee Strip, and on September 16th, 1893, at high noon, thousands of folks in wagons, buggies, and carts were given the signal to charge into the unassigned land and stake their claim. Those who made the run were called boomers, and those who entered the strip before it was opened were called sooners. The land for many miles in every direction of this corner where the diner is located was settled this very same way. Man, what a time to be alive. Can you imagine still getting land this way? So I'm outside of Perry, Oklahoma, and I just left this little restaurant, and I get in the truck and start it up, and next thing you know, I start feeling it shaking, and I'm thinking there's something wrong with the truck. So I get out and I'm looking, the building's windows are all shaking. Pretty sure they just had an earthquake. So then I look it up, they've had 11 earthquakes within the past 24 hours. The hell's going on in Perry? A little bit further down the trail, we come across another ghost town. The Battle of the Ingalls took place here, which is pretty cool little history. Basically, it was a pretty fierce gunfight between some outlaws and a sheriff, and it happened right where you see this house. Well, guys, typically I like looking for camp sometime around 4 p.m. so that way I can try to get there before daybreak. And spoiler alert, it very rarely ever happens. Today I wasn't looking for camp. Today I was actually going down a little side road and then noticed it led to a wildlife management area, and then I found this. Safe to say that I think that I'm not going to be able to find a better campsite for tonight. So it's only about 3:45, but I've got some editing and stuff that I need to do. So I'm going to sit out here and I'm going to enjoy the peace and quiet of this little lakeside campsite for tonight. And I'm going to call it a night. I've drove quite some distance today. I'm halfway done with the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. It's day number 5. One day was lost because we spent some time, you know, messing around in the dunes and all that good stuff. Yeah, this is going to be nice. Side note though, this and places like this will quickly be shut down within a matter of no time. And the reason is because people cannot pick up their shit. I don't know why. I don't know who does it. I don't know. I highly doubt that anybody watching this video would go out and litter as much stuff as around in places like this, but it's kind of sad. It's sad to see. You know, these places are kept open and somewhat maintained, or all the way maintained by your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and hunting and fishing license a lot of times. And you know, they just don't have the resources to come out here and police it a lot of times, to, you know, come out here and pick up. And quite frankly, man, it's your responsibility. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you're on public land, private land, pick up after yourself. It's pretty sad, to say the least. But here we are. We're going to camp out here for tonight. We're going to enjoy the views. Hopefully I can see some stars, and catch up with you guys later on. Show you guys what I'm having for dinner. A little leftover Mexican. This is from the 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐧 in Alva, Oklahoma. It ain't a whole lot, but it'll work. Time to crack open some stones. Sit back and chill. You know, Oklahoma has had the cheapest price on Keystones that I've ever seen, which is really the only reason that I'm drinking them. I've started drinking Yuengling here of late because it's still American made. It's not owned by some of the other companies overseas, but you can't find Yuengling over here. And you're hard pressed to find Yuengling in Texas too. I haven't found it in Texas, so haven't found Yuengling. I have found Lone Star, which is in Texas, which is that's a good one. But in Oklahoma, I haven't been able to find a whole lot of much, except for I found some Keystone. I haven't been able to find PBR either, which is kind of crazy. That's my other financial light choice. But Keystones it is, which, you know, hey, cheap beer is cheap beer. It doesn't really matter. Oklahoma Adventure Trail has been fantastic, man. We're on day 5. Spent one day hanging out with Casey and Mike and going around the sand dunes there and playing on those. So we can kind of subtract that out if you're trying to keep track of how many days it is. So technically we've spent 4 days on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. Every campsite so far has been absolutely epic. The only thing that I'd change about this specific campsite, and I guess the others too, is the temperature. And if I could dial in the temperature a little bit, I'd turn it up quite a few notches. It's in the high 30s right now, at least the low 40s, but I believe the high 30s. Luckily, it's been dry. What I will tell you is these roads here, if it's wet or they plan on them being wet and you're planning on going on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, reconsider. I absolutely 100% would not recommend going on this trail if it was raining, if it had just rained, or if it's about to rain. This mud here, buddy, is something, it's something to contend with. I've done it before on the Transamerica Trail. I got stuck in some of the farm roads out there. Well, not stuck, but I had to go through some of the farm roads out there, and this mud is like no other. I've got some mud on the 4Runner. The last thing you want to do is stop and set up a camera, so I haven't really gotten too many shots of going through the mud. It's just been little bits here and there. Like I said, I'd turn up the heat just a little bit, but other than that, man, perfect campsite. I've seen all kinds of different scenery. This has got some of the most diverse topography that I've ever seen. Like I said, the campsites have been phenomenal. Last night's campsite was probably the worst one, and I woke up to the prettiest sunrise, if you guys remember, over the salt flats there. Just amazing. So I can't ask for better. We're halfway done. Matter of fact, I'm directly north almost of where I started on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, which was in Denison, Oklahoma, right off the interstate there. I traveled up from Dallas-Fort Worth area, and yeah, and I took the western portion, so I'm halfway done with it. I've got right at around 1,000 miles on Apple here, so we've been traveling. We've been booking it. I probably traveled about 150, maybe 200 miles today, and plan on doing at least the same tomorrow. The plan is to obviously finish the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, but I also want to hit up, there's another smaller trail called the 𝐵𝐿, which is the, I think, Greene County Oklahoma Adventure Tour, something like that. But anyway, it's a smaller portion, and it's up there in the northeastern corner of Oklahoma, and I want to try to hit that up. That's a real pretty area of Oklahoma, some rolling meadows, different things like that, so I'd like to incorporate that on this trip. The only kicker is going to be weather. Again, I will not be on these roads out here if the weather gets too wet or anything like that. And as of right now, I don't think it's supposed to storm, but it is supposed to get really cold. And you know, I got a firm belief that if I'm not having fun or making money, then there ain't no use in doing it. It's supposed to drop, and it's supposed to drop quick, sometime around Monday or Tuesday. They may even be pushing that back Tuesday, Wednesday. So just kind of keeping an eye on that. But other than that, man, it's perfect. Cheers. I'm going to sit here, enjoy this for the rest of the night, rearrange Apple, get it all set up the way that I need to, and then I'll catch you guys in the manana. Good morning. Welcome to day number 6 on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. As you can see, I'm waking up to beautiful landscape today. Not so pretty sunrise, which that's okay. The temperatures dropped from the 40s down to the 30s last night and became incredibly windy. The wind has somewhat died down some now that I've been in here editing video and whatnot. Halfway to go. Real big cold weather is going to be coming in Monday and Tuesday, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and cook up some coffee this morning, and then we're going to hit the trail and see if we can't get this thing over and done with before Monday or Tuesday. So that gives us today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's 4 days that we have to get it over with. So let's hope for the best. Go ahead and cook up this coffee and get things moving. All right, so as I showed you guys earlier, whenever I came up here yesterday, this place had been kind of ransacked by folks that, I don't know, for whatever reason, refused to pick up after themselves whenever they come out here and enjoy these areas. And some of the fine folks showed up this morning to help keep these areas cleaned up for us. So we got Dave and Jeff and Warren? Yes. Daniel, Cody, and they're all part of the local Boy Scouts, right? And tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing up here.
We're here working on a conservation project to help clean up Frog Road and to pick up trash, which is helping the area and the property, as well as helping us accomplish some of our goals to get tasks done. It's a wood badge ticket, and everybody that came out today came out specifically to help with trash. And we're learning about leave no trace, which there are 7 principles, and the 3rd principle is to watch your waste. So that's what we're doing and helping today with Troop 507 from Sand Springs.
Man, that's awesome. Well, obviously, you know, the community that I'm in, we really try to practice the leave no trace and different things like that. And I appreciate you guys coming out here and doing that. Now, for the folks that can dedicate time, then obviously organized trail cleanups like what you guys have, volunteers, stuff like that, is a good way to get involved. But what about the folks that may be at a distance or can't necessarily donate their time? How can they help out?
Well, we're always looking for help with as far as donations are always accepted too, but as far as the troop, we just need a lot of great adults and great scouts that help with the program.
The biggest thing is if you're out in the community, you're doing something and you see some trash or you see something, just take the opportunity to pick it up. You know, if we all do our part, it'll help out and you know, keep this stuff cleaned up.
Cool deal. Well, thanks guys. Troop 507 Boy Scouts here, and you said where are you guys out of? Sand Springs, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks guys. We really appreciate you. Man, it's folks like that that are really the true heroes of our, you know, our public lands, because the state officials, the federal officials, different things like that, they don't have the time and the resources to dedicate to these things. So these guys come out and volunteer their own time, their own money, and man, that's really cool. Yeah, I encourage everyone to get involved with some sort of trail cleanup in your local area of your local public lands. It's always a cool thing. It's always a fun time. So definitely reach out. I'm going to leave a link down in the description to Troop 507 and how you can get in touch with those guys and how you can help them as they try to pick up Oklahoma here. Another one of those instances where the roads are worse when they're paved than they are whenever they're gravel. As you can see, we're just kind of getting jostled around here. I don't know why they don't just leave them gravel. Might as well. Notice a trend though, I'm starting to come out of the flatlands and more into some of the rolling hills. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the pretty rolling meadows of eastern Oklahoma. And I think we're getting there. Finally getting there. Committee is not happy that I'm here. That's the pretty Oklahoma that I'm talking about right there. Now, whenever it's springtime and all that's green, you can only imagine how beautiful it is. It's a little bit off green right now. It's kind of a yellowish brown color, but man, it's gorgeous whenever it's springtime. We're outside of Bartlesville. I think it's Bartleston. Bartlesville. Look at that. Just for days. 4 days. This morning when I got up, the temperature had dropped. It was supposed to be 44, I think was the low. And this morning it had dropped. Now it has dropped to 37, and that wind's whipping, and buddy, it's cold. When I say it's cold outside. I'm here in the plains and traveling through. Looks like we're gonna be on this road for a while. There ain't much to this road, just long and flat and rough. It's been wet and then hardened up, and that's kind of the norm here in the Oklahoma farm roads, you know. run into ruts that are huge. It is what it is. I must say, this is an absolute first. Of all these trails that I've done, all the trips that I've taken, I've never faced an obstacle such as this. A stopped train. Well, I guess I'm gonna try to figure out a way to go past this. Just don't know how I'm gonna do it. My streak of finding good campsites may actually be coming to an end here. And outside of Salina, Oklahoma, there is a state park here in which I could possibly stay at. They've closed it down. So there's an area here that's for camping, but they've closed it down. You can't camp there. They've closed it down for, it's actually right on this lake. It's really nice and can't camp. I've got to try to find some other place to camp, and it looks like that's going to be a little bit more difficult tonight. It's about 5:17. Typically I like to find camp sometime around 4 o'clock, at least kind of have an idea where I'm going to camp. This was the spot that I was going to camp at tonight, and not happening now, so got to figure something else out. Sometimes it be like that, or it be like that sometimes. Crazy side note, as soon as you get past Salina, Oklahoma, it turns into what resembles heavily the Appalachian Mountains. It's absolutely wild. So this is not the Appalachian Mountains, obviously. This is going to be part of the Ozark Mountains, but they look very similar, a little bit shorter. But yeah, it's crazy how it goes right into this kind of mountainous area here. Like I said, as soon as you get past Salina. So I think that I may have a solution to the campsite dilemma that I'm in right now. And the solution, I believe, is going to be a wildlife management area that's over here. But it's off of the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, but it's actually part of the Goat Trail, which is the, I believe, the Greene County. Watch the cow. Holy cow, really. Which I believe is like the Greene County Oklahoma Adventure Route or something like that. It's Goat Trail, look it up. It's another one of these trails that's within Oklahoma, and it's a different trail than the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. It's also a very long trail, and it takes anywhere between 3 to 5 days, I think is what they say there. I was planning on trying to do that, but I just don't have the time to. I need to get on back to Texas. 1, 2, I need to get out of the cold. So I decided that I'm going to travel up on the Goat Trail just for a little bit here and go to this wildlife management area, stay there for this evening, and then tomorrow get back on to the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. So that is the current situation. As you can see, this road is a little bit rougher than the roads that I've been on previously. And there's dogs flying out from the corners here. That's the current situation. Success. Not only was I able to find camp tonight right here in this wilderness area that I thought I was going to be able to, but I was able to find PBR in Salina, Oklahoma, and it feels good to have something different than a Keystone, so cheers. I've got camp set up here in the back of the truck. The temperature right now is in the high 20s. It's supposed to be in the low to mid 20s tonight. And there's even some snow falling, a little bit of snow flurries, not much. I doubt it'll be anything significant. If it is, then we're in a world of trouble. Not in a world of trouble, but it would be surprising if it was. I've got the location and the orientation of the truck set up the way that I want it, which is something I don't hardly ever talk about, so I figured I would touch on it. As far as the location goes, tonight I've got myself up in kind of a little corner to where it's kind of a windbreak. because it is real windy, but I always try to make sure that I'm not around any dead trees or anything like that. I also look for the prettiest view for either sunset or sunrise or both, depending on whether or not that's available or not. Sometimes it's not. One of the things that I always do though, as far as orientation goes, is I always point the front of the truck towards the exit or an exit, depending on where the camping site is. Obviously this depends on the situation too. Sometimes I can't always do that, but I do try to always make sure that I point the front of the truck towards an exit. You never know what could happen in the middle of the night, and if I need to get up into the truck and haul ass, then I want to be able to do just that. You know, this is particularly good whenever you're stealth camping in cities or anything like that, if that's something that you do. Every now and then I have had to stealth camp in cities, and this is something that I always make sure that I've always got a way out, and quickly. I'm also, though, one of those guys that whenever I go to a restaurant, I sit facing the door. And quite frankly, it's just because I've been in some shady situations in some shady places. So I like to make sure that I have all my options open. That's how I like to set up location and orientation of the truck whenever I'm camping inside the truck. Obviously with the tent, I still try to make sure that I orientate the truck towards an exit, but I also try to set it up to where I can still, you know, get into the back and access things and different stuff like that. So it varies depending on how I'm camping, but whenever I'm truck camping, that's pretty much how it always is. I'm not going to be doing much tonight, just going to be editing some videos. I've already eaten. I stopped and had some gas station pizza, which was absolutely horrible. I didn't feel like getting out in the 20-degree wet weather and cooking. So it is what it is. Tomorrow, whenever I get up, I will go and connect back to the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. As much as I'd like to stay on the GOAT and do the GOAT, I just don't have the time. I need to get back to Texas. Weather's supposed to be getting bad. I don't want Christy down there in real cold weather. That way she doesn't have to deal with it. Also, I'm going to the Ozarks in like a week or 2 weeks after I get back. And I'm going up to Wichita, Kansas to go to the Action Tracks facility to watch them make some action tracks. So I've got a busy time coming up. Then after that, I'm going down to Magnolia Beach and the southern portion of Texas. So yeah, I'm pretty busy. As much as I'd like to do the GOAT, man, I just don't have the time to do it. So I'm gonna get back on the Oklahoma Adventure Trail tomorrow. I have started the turn southward. I went all the way west, started the turn north, went up north to the sand dunes, and then started my turn east, and then now I've turned south. So once I get back on the adventure trail tomorrow, I'll go south for a little bit, and then I'll make the turn to go back west. And at that point in time, we'll be on the final stretch. I would assume that it's probably going to take another 2 days. So that puts me, Sunday is tomorrow, and Monday being the last day of the trail. And hopefully I'll be home Monday evening. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. If not, then it'll be Tuesday before I get home, which is just in time for the extremely cold weather. And, you know, I've camped in cold weather. The coldest I've camped was 13 degrees. I can do it. It's not the funnest in the world by any means. And to be honest, if I was, you know, smack in the middle of the Oklahoma Adventure Trail and then it was going to get cold, then I would continue going on. I wouldn't stop my trip or anything like that. But if I can make it home without having to deal with the cold, then I'd definitely like to do that. Ultimately, we're still living full-time in a camper, so we're kind of camping either way, but there is propane heat inside that camper, electric amenities, different things like that. So it's just better suited for cold weather. That's the current situation, though. Not really much going on tonight, and nothing exciting has happened today. It's been basically rinse and repeat. Did about 150, 200 miles, somewhere around there again today. All pretty much farmland, rolling hills, different things like that, which is pretty much the story for Oklahoma. So that's it. I will catch up with you guys in the mañana. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure that you hit that like button if you liked it. Hit that dislike button if you're a square. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. And until next time, peace.